What's up everybody, it's JoJo, your favorite gold coach here, and I hope you're all doing well. Tell me if this has happened to you before. You end up in a loss during a match of Overwatch, and you hold down that tab button and you go to look at your stats, and you just sigh heavily. I mean, look at those stats. You had tens of thousands of damage or healing. Maybe you had like a 8, 9, or even 10 KD. You were absolutely destroying people, running them over. You have no honest to God clue how your team could have possibly lost this. I mean, how did this happen? I don't know, I didn't see your game, but I could probably guess at a few reasons as to what happened, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that you care way too much about the scoreboard. But on the other hand, the scoreboard can oftentimes be used to discover what a problem is. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I've been wanting to talk about since the release of Overwatch 2. If you guys didn't know, back when Overwatch 2 released, I had planned to be an Overwatch creator, but after I would say probably about 2 months of playing the new Overwatch 2, the new toy syndrome kind of died down for me, and I was getting incredibly frustrated with the game, and I moved on to something else, which turned out to be Dead by Daylight, but we don't talk about that game anymore. So when the scoreboard first came out, I really felt like there was going to be a lot of problems with it. And I want to make it clear that I am not advocating in this video for getting rid of the scoreboard. I think that there's a lot of positive things that come. Turn my notifications off so I don't look like a fucking idiot on the internet. I think there's a lot of positive things that come with the scoreboard in general. I think that there's a lot of things that you can utilize the scoreboard for in terms of self-improvement or identifying things for yourself on what the issue might be. But I think that the scoreboard way too oftentimes is used by people to either A, justify their own gameplay by pointing out their stats if the stats are big enough, or B, flaming other people if the stats are low enough. And I think that these both negatively impact the average gaming experience because the scoreboard can be utilized to help people out. So first things first, let me give you guys just a very brief history about the scoreboard, quote unquote, in Overwatch in case you didn't play back in Overwatch 1. Before Overwatch 2 dropped, Overwatch 1 didn't have a scoreboard where you can see everybody's stats. Instead, when you would hold down tab at the bottom of the screen, it would show you your own stats. And then you would have these medals next to things like objective time, healing, damage, etc., or even kills that would say, oh, bronze, silver, or gold. So if you had gold damage, then you had the most amount of damage on your team at that time. Unfortunately, the medal system was really, really bad because you would often have a DPS that would be like, we have gold damage, guys. I have gold damage. What are you doing? Or you would, one of my favorite clips ever was this Tim the Tatman clip where this guy was playing Torbjorn and the Torb just was not working on this 2CP map. It was absolutely just destructive. It was not doing anything. It was not helping anybody. And Tim was like, hey, Torb, just ask him, man, could you swap to something else? Is there anything else that you play? Because I don't think the Torb's working. And the Torb just comes back, I have gold damage. And it was just the funniest reaction from Tim back in the day, because at the end of the day, gold damage was meaningless. And the same thing applies in modern day Overwatch. I don't care if you have 10,000 damage as a DPS. In fact, I hope by the end of a match you have 10,000 damage as a DPS, because I hope that you're hitting your shots. I hope that you're doing things and you're being a threat. You see, the biggest problem with the scoreboard is that the scoreboard doesn't tell the whole story. If you see somebody with a high amount of stats, I remember I was watching this spectating video from, I think Emong, it was an Emong or Flats, one of the two. And the guy was basically like, hey, I got, like 64 kills this match. I got like a shitload of damage. How did we lose? And when we went back and watched the VOD, when we watched the match, the DPS was just shooting the tank a whole bunch of times, and then every so often they would see like a really low health enemy and they would just kill that enemy with like one shot. And it was like, well, that's why you're losing, because you're dumping all your damage into this endless amount of health on the tank who's getting double pocketed, and then occasionally you'll be like, the Genji's low health, boop, and then you get the elimination. And that's just not how this game works. You cannot be a threat by constantly pouring your damage into a low rank tank, because make no mistake, by the time you climb the ranks, if you ever do climb the ranks, and you get past, say, platinum and into diamond and masters and grandmasters, tanks in those ranks don't take nearly as much damage, because they've learned by that point that standing in the middle of main expecting your supports to double pocket you is not how you play tank properly. So what are you gonna do when you eventually climb into those ranks and you no longer have this big target to shoot at for the entirety of the game? Another example of this in different roles could be like supports. Supports might have a shitload of healing, but again, all they did is sit there and double pocket their tank for the entire match, ignoring their DPS when their DPS were low and never going to help them at all. One big massive problem you'll see with supports in the lower ranks is they like to stick together a lot. Spylo talks about this at length a couple of times in some of his videos, but as the supports, you should be within line of sight of each other to you know, heal each other if you have to, but staying clumped up in these groups is what makes y'all so susceptible to being dove or being hurt and not paying attention to what's happening. You should have like your Kiri next to your soldier, but have your Ana in the back line being able to keep an eye on your Genji and your Ball way up in the front, or something to that effect, right? You should be able to you should be able to have a decent enough amount of healing without dumping all your heal resources into the tank. But also, heal botting doesn't win games. Heal botting doesn't win games, and a lot of supports make that mistake. So when they end a match and they have 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 healing, and they're like, what else could I have done? You could have done literally anything else. You could have thrown a few kunai on Kiriko. You could have blue beamed your soldier on Mercy. You could have hit some better shots on Ana. You could have done so much more in that terms. Really, what you want out of basically every support except Mercy is to have a close to even balance between damage and healing. If you don't have damage healing numbers that are similar in scale, then you probably didn't do your job that much. Also, Zenyatta. Zenyatta doesn't produce a lot of heals. He should have way more damage. He's like the opposite of Mercy. Mercy should have more heals than damage by a large margin, and Zenyatta should have more damage than heals by a large margin. But I digress. The point is that you can't point at stats. I guess I could do, can I do tanks? I can do tanks as well. I've seen a lot of tanks who will have high damage and high kills, but then like they're not really doing anything to create space. They're like going off on these wild flanks and not doing anything to make sure that they're getting rid of the problem. They just keep bullying like this one specific support that doesn't know how to like pay attention. And then they're like, oh boy, dude, my team didn't do anything. I took space. You didn't take space. You didn't do shit. I saw this clip of this guy. I'm not going to mention his name because like mentioning his name summons him like he's fucking Beetlejuice or some shit. But I saw this clip. Apply was like reviewing this dude, and this dude like slammed into the enemy team and then instantly exploded. And he was like, caused the distraction. No, you didn't. You didn't distract from shit. You instantly died. Yeah, bro, that half a second that you distracted them really helped your team do nothing. Sorry, negative things. And then, you know, like I said, the scoreboard can also show when someone's playing badly, right? If you're 3.5 minutes into a game and you're 0-6 with less than 1,000 damage, you're probably not doing your fucking job. No matter what role you're on, you're probably not doing your job and you're probably playing poorly. But at the same time, the scoreboard doesn't tell the whole story. just like good stats don't necessarily mean that you played well, bad stats don't mean that you played bad all the time. And I think that's something that a lot of people need to recognize. Very often I will recognize in my games or when I'm watching other people spectate, I have not had the confidence yet to ask people to submit codes to me to spectate, because even though I am confident in my coaching abilities from back when I was a 6v6 coach, I am confident that I know enough about this game to still be able to coach this game. I also want to make sure that I have played 5v5 enough to recognize the differences that need to be recognized. I'm probably going to end up seeing if I can get a hold of Spylo or OC and see if they will help guide me to some resources to kind of brush up on my knowledge of the game, because I haven't coached since 2019, and it's been that long. But anyway, I digress. The point is that one massive thing that I'll notice is people will like hold down tab, they'll look at the scoreboard, and they'll instantly say, hey, this isn't working. Hey, that's not working. Hey, what are you doing? A game that sticks out in my mind was from a couple of years ago, before I took my like year-and-a-half long break. I was playing Ana, and I kept trying to take these off angles to help my team, but I kept getting dove upon, and my team would just ignore this Genji Tracer combo that kept just, I mean, when I say walking right past them, I mean walking right past them, like not double jumping, taking these secret little flanks. I mean literally just walking through main of King's Row, past my Reinhardt, past my Mei, past my Reaper, past my Moira, just walk straight through the fucking choke and directly to me. And so I'm fighting off 2 DPS, which, you know, yeah, your support should learn how to take care of themselves, but you're not winning a 1v2 as Ana against 2 highly mobile characters. It's just not fucking happening. And so I kept getting killed. And so by the end of the game, not by the end of the game, by the end of the first round, I had something like 0-7 with like 2k heals. And they were like, Ana, are you gonna heal people? I would love to if I stopped getting dove and y'all listened to pings. Like, and I'll admit, right? I'll admit that it was partially on me to not swap to something, right? Maybe I could have swapped to Brig to try to better fight off the 2 of them. Maybe I could have swapped to Baptiste, who has, you know, better escape and better survivability, or self-sustain, I should say, than Ana does. I could have swapped to something else, and I should have swapped to something else. But my point is that looking at the scoreboard and saying, oh my god, our Ana's not healing us, when I can't heal you because I'm constantly fighting off 2 flankers that y'all just keep letting walk past the choke for free, that's incredibly frustrating to deal with. That is so difficult to comprehend, like, why you're on my ass. And another problem with using the scoreboard that I see a lot of the times is people just don't know how this game works. They just don't understand how this game works. And that goes back to the thing about seeing your stats being high and assuming that you did everything you could when you're actually not, right? Because the scoreboard doesn't show all of the little tiny things, right? Like as Ana, I might have 4,000 healing and 4,000 damage, and you're like, oh, my Ana's just DPSing all the time. But you didn't see all the sleep darts that I hit. You didn't see the nades that I hit that allowed you. One time, like very honestly, fairly recently, I was at like 6,000 healing, and our Mizuki was at something like 14,000. And he was like, Ana, why aren't you healing people? And it's like, I am. The reason you have 14,000 healing is because I keep throwing my nade into the middle of a bunch of perma-crit gold players, and your healing aura is getting mega boosted by me. I think my amplified healing stat by the end of that game was like 10k or something. Like I had like this huge amplified healing stat because the Mizuki was just getting all the amplified heals from people just existing in his aura. You see what I'm talking about when I say that the scoreboard is honestly practically useless. But at the same time, I think that the scoreboard also has a lot of room for self-improvement, right? I think that if you can learn how to look at the scoreboard and recognize your own faults, not the faults of your teammates, but your own faults, then you can start to utilize the scoreboard in a much more positive light. And I think that that is the true purpose of the scoreboard. And it's why I don't really like all the stats being public, because back in the day when I used to coach back in 2017 to 2019, the scoreboard at the bottom that only you could see was really, really good, because then if I was coaching, say, a DPS player, and I'd be like, all right, when you hold tab, what are you looking at? And they're like, oh, well, I got, you know, a 12,000 damage. And I'm like, okay, so why aren't we winning this game? Let's put our thinking caps on. Why are we not winning this game when you have 12,000 damage? And they'd be like, I don't know. And I'd be like, all right, cool. So let's see what you're shooting. What are you shooting? Oh, you're dumping all your damage into a pocketed diva. Maybe shoot the Mercy that's pocketing her. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I personally like using the scoreboard. When I hit tab, I don't look at anybody else's stats. Unless somebody is flaming someone else, then I'm a little bit curious. But when I hit tab, I look at my own stats and I say, okay, what am I doing here? What's going on? Am I fucking 0 and 5 with 2,000 damage? I need to do something else. I need to lock in. I need to figure out. I need to swap. I need to, you know, work a little bit better. Am I, you know, 10 and 2 with, you know, 6,000 damage? Okay, so let me see how I'm playing to figure out why we're losing. Am I doing something wrong? Am I not creating enough space? Because I'm a tank main. You know, so I like the scoreboard for figuring out my own personal problems, because I know the reason for the stats. I know the reason that I'm playing the way that I'm playing. I don't know why my Ana doesn't have a shitload of healing. I don't know why my Zenyatta doesn't have a shitload of damage. And if you have enough self-awareness, sometimes you could use that to pay attention to what's happening. Okay, so my soldier, for example, doesn't have a lot of eliminations. He's like 3 and 5. What is going on? So maybe you watch your soldier and you see that your soldier is constantly getting caught out by a flanking Vendetta, for example. So now what can you do to make sure that your soldier gets help with the Vendetta? Do you know, if you're the tank, do you play closer to your soldier on that off angle? Do you keep a better eye? Like if you have some, like, are you your Ana, right? You see your soldiers playing on the off angle, they're doing what they're supposed to, they get dived by the Vendetta for like the 3rd time that match, and you throw an anti-nade or a sleep that direction. You try your best to help your soldier stay alive, because Vendetta is a massive pain in the ass, right? So I think that if you've got the self-awareness to understand that the scoreboard doesn't tell the whole story, then you can then you can improve your own gameplay to the best of your abilities. But I think that the paradox comes in where the scoreboard is often utilized to be the worst fucking thing imaginable. It's one of the things that people are like, oh, stats tell the whole story, and that's often what keeps people in the lower ranks, and that's why I don't like the scoreboard, but I also understand the importance of it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Sorry for the 20 minutes of rambling. I apologize for that, but I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.